Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very, very senior and accomplished professional from Gurgaon, India, Mr. Sanjay Sethi. Sanjay, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashutosh.
Sanjay is an executive director of the Plant-Based Foods Industry Association, PBFIA. He's the founder of Roots and Shoots, and we'll talk about Roots and Shoots. And he has over 4 decades of global corporate leadership and entrepreneurial experience in publishing, media, broadcasting, and education. So, Sanjay, before we talk about plant-based foods, given your rich experience, tell me a little bit about your own journey in brief.
Yeah, so Ashutosh, I'm very happy to be here and would like to tell you that I have spent considerable time of my life into the food and agriculture space, now 32 years. And I am qualified as an agriculture graduate and did my master's MBA from Rural Business Management from IRMA. And later on, very late in my career, I also got the opportunity to do a sustainability leadership course, which was a hybrid course from Yale Business School and World Business Council for Sustainable Development, 1-year course. And most of my work has been around the food security, directly or indirectly. So I have worked on the farmer side, I've worked on the customer side, I've worked in the entire supply chain. I worked in India, I have worked in Europe, I worked in Africa or Middle East. 10 years I was outside the country, mainly in Middle East and Africa. And just about a couple of years back, when we came back, we started this association.
Fantastic. So when you say food security, what does that mean?
It means that we should not only have the food for everybody, but they should also have the nutritional security, that they should have quality food for everybody.
Okay.
And that means that when you have food, people are peaceful. When they're peaceful, they focus on creative work. They become more creative. You have more sports people because you have consumed good quality food, good proteins. So now you can excel. So it has a very calming effect on the entire I would say population. If your stomach is full, the moment your stomach is not full, that's the time you get into wars and unrest.
Well said. So let's now move to the Plant-Based Foods Industry Association, PBFIA. Tell me a little bit about the association and what is the scope of work you handle here.
So like any other association, we are like also a trade association working for the benefit of our members. We are very fortunate to be living in these times that within the first year of formation, we got 100 members support.
Wow.
And in a tiny industry, this is not a small feat because the entire industry may be about 200, 250 companies. So you got about 40% of them joining the association. It is very good. It's very good. So it also brings a lot of responsibility. And most of these organizations are startups and youngsters are, at the forefront. And you always fear that in the shakeout, they should not fall on the wayside. So we should support them. We should guide them. We should bring the right kind of, linkages to them, market linkages to them. And so we work in basically 4 work streams. One is in the supply chain arena, another is on the investment, third is on the innovation, so that our products are exactly mimicking the plant-based, the animal ingredients. So the plant-based versions, like plant-based dairy, plant-based meat, must taste exactly the way the meat and dairy products are. Then only people will leave the animal variants, and they will go for this, so that we save not just the greenhouse gas emissions, but also it is generally ethical not to kill animals, or it is generally ethical way of eating. And also we feel that there are some various health safety hazards associated with either it is maybe oxytocin injections that we give to the dairy cow, or we give some antibiotic food or feed to chicken because you don't want the broilers to catch some cold and cough. while they are growing and getting 1 kilogram or 2 kilogram of body
Mm.
weight in the first 42 days of their life. And after that, they go for slaughtering.
Mm.
So you want to make sure that you attain that chicken weight very quickly without any problem. So you give antibiotics as a food. And that antibiotics passes into the human body, and that hazard has been spotted.
Amazing.
So people are now going away from meat and dairy. They are looking for plant-based food. So coming back to the work streams, there are 3 work streams I've already mentioned, which is innovation, investment, and supply chain. And the 4th one is very important, and that is policy advocacy, where we work with the government and we guide them, or we get guided as to what needs to be done. And at the same time, we also present the voice of our industry. So we galvanize the whole sector. We provided them the voice, but that why we should not be able to call plant-based milk as plant-based milk when the customer has no confusion that this is not dairy milk, right? So just because you got an amazing name, milk, and milk has been around for centuries, that you cannot now call plant-based milk as plant-based milk, or soy milk as soy milk, or oat milk as oat milk. Then you call them at beverage, and then the same connotation doesn't happen. People don't leave milk and come to the plant-based variants. If they don't do that, that means you will never be able to switch. If you will not be able to switch, the stranded assets or the industries which are causing havoc to the environment will continue to grow, and it won't be sustainable.
Well said, well said. And Sanjay, how large is our industry, the plant-based industry, in India today, and how fast is it growing?
It's actually very tiny. We are only $267 million, 2,000 crores. Within that 2,000 crores also, we have tried to bring in some elements here and there, which are not really mock meat or mock dairy. But we want to, also sit in the presence of other similar products, like, for example, soya nuggets or soya chop. I mean, they are also plant-based foods. So this is how we have reached about 2,000 crores. But we are predicting a big jump because of all the factors that I mentioned to about 40,000 crores, which is about $5 billion, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely. And I'm one of your big customers because I'm vegan, but I'm always looking for where I can get promo products, and I'm glad I'm speaking to you now. The other question that is often asked is that, and I've spoken to meat producers also from America on my show, they say that vegetarianism is not a complete diet. And for years, there has been this myth, and I'm telling this to you as a vegetarian turned vegan, is that it's only animal meat that can give you protein. How are you countering these myths?
So, well, there is some element of truth that yes, animals provide good lot of protein. There's no doubt about that.
Correct.
And some of the protein also has all the 9 amino acids. So to that extent, not all plant variants provide those 9 amino acids, except let's say hemp or soybean, right? So somewhere you would have, maybe lysine is there, methionine is missing, and methionine is there, lysine is missing. But when you club dal with rice or sambar or idli, the dal and rice is already mixed, right? Or something like peas pulao. So then you have mixed all the ingredients. So that meal provides all the 9 amino acids. So individually, moong may not stand up to you in terms of all the 9 amino acids. That is true, but we don't eat moong the whole day.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So this is one aspect. And then, of course, there are some aspects like vitamin B12, very difficult for vegetarians to find. But if you ferment certain things, you do get those as well. So it's just that we have to look at if we are discontinuing certain food, especially the vegans. You have been, eating something for all your life, or for centuries we have been eating that. So if we are discontinuing certain parts, we have to very carefully see that what is that we are discontinuing. We must get the same thing from some other source, and plants have that. Plants have everything, but you have to find it. You have to know. So there's a little bit of intelligence which is required there. So, but products like soybean have all the 9 amino acids, especially when this soybean is coming from US, where they grow high quality IP soybean, which is for human grade. In India, the kind of soybean that we get is mainly for the animal feed sector, whereas in the US they have human grade soybean, which has less allergen and the right kind of oligosaccharides, ensuring that it has got the right kind of fat, not too much fat, more of protein, and the after beanie taste which is there, which we don't like it at times, especially when we make the mock meat. So that's why soybean became a very popular thing for us.
So, since you're speaking about soybean, I want to ask you about another myth that seems to exist in a lot of customers, that the primary source for vegan foods is soybean. But someone else was saying peas has become very big. I'd love to get your perspective on what are the different kinds of raw materials that we are using for plant-based foods.
Yes. So we believe in broad basing the whole thing, as I was giving you the example of peas pulao, right? Or dal rice, or khichdi, right? So what we want to do, we want to ensure that a human body should get various kinds of protein, so that all the amino acids are coming in balanced form, and at the same time we get all the various other minerals and vitamins. So peas welcome, soy welcome, moong welcome, guar welcome, chickpea welcome, black gram welcome, Bengal gram welcome, and of course lentils, of course so many other, even wheat has protein, even rice has protein, even other products which are smaller, but like sunflower, that has got protein, oat has got protein. So all these products are welcome. So we are developing all these ingredients, novel ingredients, so that mix and match of those will create different kind of dishes and different kind of I would say the recipes. So those things are important. Yes, I have tasted peas based kebab, which CCL does. CCL is from the Continental Coffee, so they have a brand called Greenbird. So they have an amazing tasting kebab, which is based on pea protein. And most of the products that plant-based foods have amazing tasting products which are based on soybean, and many of those come from outside India. And as I said, instead of importing soybean from in the form of TVP or proteins, isolates, we can directly import the soybean, so that we can get those human grade soybean, and those product will match with the animal sources.
Very interesting. My next question is that, in the minds of the Indian consumer, how important is cruelty-free diet and animal rights?
Again, this is not 100% of the population. Whether this is 1%, 5%, 10%, or 20%, this is anybody's guess.
Correct.
I can put it like this: the number of vegans in the world have gone up from 0.5% to 3% in the recent years.
Wow.
So India also is growing. Whether it is 4 or 2, I don't know, but I think it's less than 3. But those kind of studies have not taken place. So, but definitely it is around 1 million people, definitely in India, which are vegans, which are, I would say, almost strict vegans, right? But there may be many people who are plant-based, who want to eat meat, but also want to eat more of plant-based foods, right? So that population is very large. Some people say that 70% people in India who consume meat are actually not confirmed meat eaters. They're not serious meat eaters. Only very few are serious meat eaters. But most of these are flexitarians, and who love to bring more and more plant-based foods, and they just consume meat maybe 2-3 times a week.
Correct. And the very large number of people in India are vegetarian. I wanted to get your perspective on what are the advantages of being a vegan as compared to a vegetarian.
See, vegetarian, vegan, essentially the difference is, I would say, dairy.
Dairy, I agree.
Right? Because those who consume eggs, they don't call themselves vegetarian.
Correct.
So the difference is dairy. Dairy has got 2-3 advantages and disadvantages. One, it has been, one of the popular way of creating some amazing sweet dishes. because all our mithais are made of dairy.
Correct.
So it tastes amazingly good,
Mm.
like paneer and so many other things. And people love dairy in India, right? So as far as the taste part is concerned, it has got huge thumbs up from everyone. I come from Haryana, so they say if you're not consuming dairy, what are you?
Absolutely.
I mean, you have to consume so much of everyday milk and everyday paneer, everyday ghee, everyday makhan, everyday this. But of late, what has happened? Wherever there were dairy cows together, they started giving oxytocin to increase the milk yield. And then some people knew for a long time that there was some problem that they were farting moment they were crossing 50 or 60. And that was basically lactose intolerance. But people did not know about that. And third category came who were, who said, no, this calf, which is there in dairy cow, after 6 months, it is sacrificed, right? So when it is sacrificed, that means I don't want to be associated with an industry which is indirectly promoting the beef. Then another set of questions, set of people came forward. They said that, I'm diabetic, I can't consume so much of dairy because it has got carbohydrates. Then some people said that, dairy may be good, but it causes a lot of greenhouse gas emissions, right? So because when all these categories put together, it were not the people who were only ethically shying away from dairy. There are people who are shying away from dairy because they wanted for something safer food, or they were looking for something which is low on the emissions. And because they wanted to make a difference in the environment through their food choices.
Well said.
So they came forward and they said, we want plant-based dairy. And because we have a huge dairy sector, I think about $80 billion or more, even if you get 1% of that, I mean, it's a huge $800 million.
Correct.
Our entire industry is $267 million today. So I think that because of this, the dairy is on the up, and moment it's on the up, the dairy sector sees what is happening around. In the US, in the milk sector, somebody told me that it has become 30%. Plant-based milk, madam milk and oat milk and millet milk and soy milk, so many other milk, right? So the dairy sector is rattled that the same thing if happens in India, then we will lose our jobs.
Correct.
But I tell them that no, it will not happen so fast because the dairy sector has been growing at 5 or 7%. If plant-based sector just gets that itself is a huge plus for plant-based foods, plant-based dairy sector. So the people will not lose jobs. Maybe more people will not enter dairy sector if plant-based sector takes off.
Well said. Well said. Thank you. What a great response. Do you see a change in the way the younger generation is consuming and developing more responsible food habits as compared to people of my generation who still want a lot of meat in their diet?
It's going up. It's going up in a very big way in India because not only we are protein deficient, let's accept the fact that many people love the taste of meat, right? Because they were looking for that meaty, chewy taste and umami flavor. So they wanted that. And that's why it's going up. But at the same time, vegetarians are also now moving towards plant-based, the meat sector, because they wanted to see that we don't want to miss out on some fun which is happening there. So if you remember in the early days, you would have seen how the soya chunks came into being. It is the vegetarians who wanted to try something meaty.
Correct.
The same thing happened in case of jackfruit also. They wanted something meaty, right? And same thing happened with the soya chop also. So it is the vegetarians who were looking for something which is meaty in taste. Now, the youngsters with the additional income and meat sector being very, very affordable in India, they said, why not we try it? And that is why the chicken consumption, meat consumption is growing up like leaps and bounds, especially in India. We consume only about 5.5 kilogram per capita, but it is going, if it goes to 10 or 15 kilogram, just like the West, in some cases, West has got 50 kilogram per capita or even 100, which is too much. So they have to reduce it. So they want to reduce it. So that's how our plant-based sector caught up in the US with, Beyond Burger. But in India, because the meat sector is growing so fast, we are concerned that we will not be able to grow so much of fodder. And if we, let's say, shift so much into the fodder production, that means first we give 9 kilogram to the animal, and an animal will give you 1 kilogram of food, which is very inefficient and unsustainable. But on top of all the environmental impact that you would have, you would also grow so much of fodder, and that fodder means you will grow some food less.
Correct.
When you will do some food less, which today you are exporting as in India, $50 billion worth of food exports. This will not be the situation. You will be food dependent. More you will be food dependent, then what would happen? You will go back to the 1970s or late 60s. You did not have food. You won the war in Bangladesh, but you lost on the negotiation table. You had the 90,000 prisoners of war, and yet you lost on the negotiation table. Why? Because you did not have food, right? You are dependent on the world to provide you food. But today, in 2016, when the similar situation happened in Uri, India did the surgical strike. Why? Because your granaries are full. So when your granaries are full, that means you are more confident, you are more food secure. So the food security is being seen as national security. And when the meat consumption goes up, it looks like that you will lose your national security. And government understands that. That's why Prime Minister went ahead and he said that by 2070 will be net zero.
Okay.
So it's a very, very strong statement by the Prime Minister. And we were thinking that India will not make net zero, commitment. But by saying this, the entire policy framework is towards EV, towards plant-based foods, towards those items which have lesser environmental impact. So the coal has to go away, and similarly the meat has to go away. So while the children like the meat, but the government doesn't like it. The children are liking the meat. So government wants to do something, but government cannot do anything unless until we come out with something which is tastier than just merely hara bhara kebab. People are fed up with the hara bhara kebab. They want something better.
Fair enough. Okay. So I have time for one more question. And this question is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. Based on all your understanding of plant-based foods, what would you say are 3 messages you would want our young viewers and listeners to take away about plant-based foods?
First, my message is that please understand that this sector is growing. These are early times. What happened in case of telecom and IT revolution? We had primitive computers, then P1, P2, P3, P4, and then the Windows and DOS. DOS led to Windows 1, 2, 3, then 95, and Windows then transformed. So with every passing year, plant-based foods will become tastier and more healthier and less processed. So please help us to transform the sector by consuming plant-based foods and by giving feedback on the plant-based foods.
Okay.
If you will not consume, this revolution will not take off, and the young entrepreneurs and scientists will get disheartened.
Right.
And they will stop doing further research on this. So this is one thing. Be patient with the growth of the sector. My second question is that food, when you consume food, please see what is the environmental impact of that food. That is something which nobody is seeing. And third thing is that if you have any brother, sister, or elder working in the dairy or the meat sector, please tell them to be kind on these young boys and girls. These are the entrepreneurs who are bringing a big revolution. So please support them. Don't deride them. Don't tell them they are mocking this thing and that the industry which is based on mocking something. I mean, these are disheartening words. You are cheating. It's not ghee and it's dalda. By making these comments, you are actually bringing a lot of confusion in the mind of people. You should simply say that they're solving a big problem. Maybe all the elements of the problems are not solved. Maybe some of the elements have already been solved. So we should give them support in whichever way we can. So your elders in the family or in your neighborhood or in your relatives and known people should not trample on this nascent industry. They need your help. So I call all the dairy and meat industry to please provide support. This sector has the solution for world's problem tomorrow.
Wonderful. And on that note, Sanjay, and your three messages, this sector is growing. It's in the early days. Plant-based foods will become tastier. So you're asking all our viewers and listeners to consider consuming plant-based food. Second, you said was that please see the environment the food is being grown in, and that's very critical. And third one, you appeal to all old people, young people, that give support to the young entrepreneurs who are developing plant-based foods, because you think or you believe that plant-based foods are going to solve a lot of problems we face on this earth. Thank you so much for speaking to me about plant-based foods. I think I've learned a lot of new things from you. Thank you for speaking to me, and good luck.
And thank you, Ashutosh. We are in the same city. We should not meet only virtually. We should meet in person also.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.